Hello folks, I'm Dean with Dean's Woodworking. Y'all come on in the shop and make yourself comfortable. Today is New Year's Eve. And that's exactly what we're going to make today. We're going to make a whistle. You see, I went down to the dollar store and bought a bag of noise makers. Got the little plastic whistle on the end of it. You work that off of there. There you've got your little piece that's going to make the noise. Now we're going to make the horn and glue the whistle inside the horn. We've got a party toy. Something that children of all ages can aggravate and irritate other people with, okay? Y'all stay tuned, let's get going. You'll notice chucked up in the lathe here is a piece of limb. I went ahead and peeled the bark off of it because I didn't want it flying up and hitting me. And I would advise, if it's a dry piece of wood like this is, that you do the same. You start cutting that bark, it's going to fly, okay? First thing we're going to do is we're going to make this thing round or at least close to it. We're just going to take the roughing gouge. Take a look and see what size that is for sure there now. And we're just about right. We're going to put it in the chuck. Once we've got it in the chuck, we'll go ahead and make one more run just to make sure that we're round. We're going to come in and make a slicing cut across the end. Primary reason for doing that is just to get it straight across the end. At that point, we're going to drill some holes in the end of that. This first one is going to be 15-30 seconds, and we're going to drill that all the way as far as we can drill it. Now those flutes are blocked when you get up in there like that. So you want to make sure and pull it back out so you can clean those out. Otherwise you can bind. Now once we've drilled that one as deep as we can go, we're going to come in with a 9/16 drill bit, and with that one we're only going to go to where you see this step here. Again, we're only going to go to this step right here. Once we've got both of those holes drilled in, we can come back in. We can put our cone in there and work on that. In this case, we're going to do a little flute, make a little horn or a trumpet here on the end. And for that, we're going to bring our spindle gouge in, a little 3/8 spindle gouge. Okay, so we've got that done. Now what we're going to do, we've got some of this little cheap sandpaper laying around here. So we're going to roll that up here. I'm going to use that to sand out this flute, or the bugle portion of this. Hey folks, if you like what you're seeing, go down and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That'll give you notification anytime I upload a video. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching. Again, we're just sanding that out there. We'll go ahead and run that on up in that drilled hole just a little bit. Okay, let's take a look at that. Oh wow, that looks good. So we're going to bring our tailstock back up here. Put just a little bit of pressure on that. And just for grins and giggles, let's kind of mark how deep we made this. So our drill bit went into there. That's where our whistle, our little plastic insert, is going to butt up on the inside right there. Now the other hole went all the way up here. So that's the area we've got to work with. We'll go ahead and bring our speed up. And we're going to start working our bugle end here. Okay, let's check that real quick. We're a little heavy right down there, so we'll go ahead and come in just another cut or two. So we know this is as far as we can go. So we're going to go ahead and make us a mark there so that we know that's kind of where our holes stop. And I'm just going to do some peeling cuts to bring this on down. Just sort of let this blend into one another here. And then we can start peeling this back. Again, these are pretty quick to make, folks. Doesn't take a whole lot of time. And remember, we're using a limb. Something that fell down out of the neighbor's yard over there. Now, starting about right here, we've got a little bit more room to taper it down a little bit more if we want to. Not a lot. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start sanding this. I think this is a 150 here. No, it's a 100. We're going to make pretty quick work with it. And then we'll switch over to 150. 220. We'll go to 320. And that's all we'll do with the sanding. Pay a little bit more attention to this end grain here. Okay, we're going to switch to the 150. That should be plenty with the 150. Do the same with the 220. Always be careful. Hold it so if it grabs, it doesn't take your hand with it. That's the 220. We're going to hit it with the 320. Okay, and we're good on that. We're going to take and blow it off with the air. And now we're going to put a little antique oil finish on it. This is something that'll dry fast. We're not even going to leave it coated up very heavy. I'm just going to basically coat it on, let it set for just a minute, and then we'll wipe it off. So we've got the antique oil finish on there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the lathe on slow, and we're just going to wipe it off. Once we've got that done, we are ready to part this thing off. And the way we will part it off is we're going to take our skew chisel. You see this little piece right down here that I left? We're going to go ahead and start working that off. And we're just going to kind of curve it over a little bit. Now, as we do that, we are putting a little bit of a taper right there. We've got it parted off, but it's going to leave it a little ragged right there. What I normally do is I take my power sander. I'll hold this so you guys can see it. I'll start it running, and I will just rotate this around that so that it can sand it back. Okay, so I'm rotating the horn as I am lightly, and the key is lightly touching that sandpaper. Once I've got that done, then you can take some sandpaper and just kind of roll it up and sand that edge there. All you're doing is just barely going in there, and this I think is 320, so it's not a real aggressive sandpaper, but it's going to knock any of those rough edges off of there, and that gives you a pretty decent little mouthpiece. Now what we'll do is we'll coat that real quick with the antique oil. By using the skew, we really don't even have to sand that because it's probably smoother than if we had sanded it. So once we're at this point, we're just going to take this little whistle piece. We're going to drop it little end first down into the big end of the flute and glue it in there with super glue. What I do is I normally put super glue on this. I will drop it in there. I'll take a pencil and just put a little pressure on it for just a minute, and it's there. And then you have an aggravation device. Folks, thank you so much for watching. Have fun tonight. Happy New Year's. Stay safe. Be careful out there. Stay healthy. And happy turning.